Well, good evening, DirtFish Rally friends. It's the end of day 2 here at the Safari Rally of Kenya. And welcome to the Marunja guest house, George.
It's absolutely lovely here. I've been given a cup of tea, so I'm extremely happy.
Tea with Mr. P, our magnificent host. It's a bit special, a wee cup of tea at the end of a long, hard day, George.
It is. That whole sentence you just did just rhymed.
It did.
You've turned into a poet.
Tea with Mr. P and me and Georgie D. That's even better, isn't it?
What have I done? What have I created a new monster out of Colin?
Now, George, we've needed this cup of tea this evening because
Heck yeah.
it has been a really interesting day. We had 6 stages today, folks, 150 competitive kilometres. We were enjoying the battle at the front, clearly, between Sebastian Ogier, who led at the start of the day, and Kalle Rovanperä. We then went down to Elfyn Evans. Esa-Pekka Lappi was the man who battled through yesterday. Did a great job to put himself within striking distance of the podium. But do you know what? Lappi's drama started before the first stage this morning. Something on the rear left of that car, and we've still not got to the bottom of it. But my goodness me, Esa-Pekka, Yanni Fern, it was almost frantic, the efforts to resolve whatever that issue was. Do you know, as they left the point that they were doing that repair, heading towards the stage, I asked him, look, do you think this is going to hold out? And he said, maybe not. It did hold out for the first morning, George. He found himself in 3rd place at lunchtime.
Tremendous.
And it was a wonderful performance from him this morning, wasn't it?
It really, really was. I mean, he kept it together. His pace was right. The car was coming to the end of the stages without a mark on it, almost like it had been through a car wash.
Learning so quickly. But sadly for Esa-Pekka, we're again not 100% sure, but we believe that it is that rear prop shaft thing. And in fact, it was the prop shaft that failed for Esa-Pekka Lappi. It was on the first stage out after service, so the first stage of the afternoon. George, you managed to grab a quick word, didn't you?
With
Yanni Fern. You got there. You battled through the undergrowth.
I battled through the undergrowth. There are
over the rivers. Did you cross the river?
I crossed the river twice.
Anacondas in the river?
No anacondas, but apparently there's leopard in there sleeping during the day.
Wow.
But they only eat in the morning, so I was quite safe. But I did actually find a nice big stick with a pointed bit on it, and I just carried that with me. I used it as a walking stick.
What did Yanni tell you, George?
Don't cross rivers in Africa.
Is that what Yanni told you?
No.
What did he tell you?
He told me that, I said, was it a problem in the water splash? And he said, no. He said, through the water splash, there's about a 200-metre climb, twisty, up a hill, and then sharp braking you come over the top, maybe 50 more metres, you almost catch air actually coming over the top, and then a 90 right. And he said, under braking, they lost drive.
Wow.
So I guess that was it. So it was a reverse torque has broken whatever, we assume. And then there's an escape road, he just slipped up there, and the marshals moved the tape. And
there will be an awful lot of discussion, debate. There'll be a few heads being banged together, I'm sure, in that Hyundai engineering department. They'll have to come up with a solution for this. It's a problem, according to Thierry Neuville, that they've known about since January last year, since this car was introduced. So really, why it's shown itself in such a prominent way this time around in Kenya, we're not too sure, but clearly it's a massive issue. Let's talk then about our top 3 at the end of the day, George, because let's talk about our top 4.
There's so much to talk about.
It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Toyota. We had Esa-Pekka Lappi in 3rd place at one point. We also had Takamoto Katsuta in 3rd place at one point. He has dropped behind Elfyn Evans at the end of the day. George, his car yesterday evening in service looked second-hand.
Yep.
It didn't quite look so second-hand this evening, but it certainly didn't look new. He'd lost another rear spoiler.
Yep.
He battered the car. He had a really interesting chat with Jari-Matti Latvala.
Thank you, coming back. Good job.
Yes.
I know it was a very tough.
Yes.
And I can tell you good news.
But
We have a spare rear spoiler.
yes, Tom sent me message.
I went to speak with Tom already.
Yeah, Tom sent me message.
Do you know what Jari told us as well? Jari said, we haven't quite run out of rear spoilers, but what we're going to have to do, from 2 damaged ones, we're going to have to make 1 good one for him for tomorrow.
Well, the thing is, you can't leave service without the car right.
Correct.
I'm not quite sure what the rule is. It would certainly be a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely a penalty.
Least,
But you know what, Katsuta-san for me has been really quite impressive. He's been on the limit, he's been over the limit, but he's had the confidence to push. And for me, that's the important thing, because he's lacked confidence up till this point in the Rally 1 car.
That's a really good point, Colin. And I mentioned it, I think, yesterday. His survivability, that's a huge thing in any rally driver, is to be able to survive issues. You know, whether they're big issues or small issues, but the ability to survive and still drive. Yesterday, he was still very much in the fight. He was back on the podium for a while today, just exactly as you said, after really so many incidents. Now, you know, if you just measured that against Sebastian Ogier also manages incidents. Obviously, it's a lot finer. He's not making these catastrophic things like events like Katsuta had from time to time. Well, not catastrophic.
No, they were at times, George.
They were huge.
Yeah.
They were huge. But he manages those problems so well. He had 2 punctures at the end of that last stage today. And Ogier, two punctures, and he was still, he still got the lead.
Yeah, we'll come to Ogier in just 1 second. So Katsuta-san, good day for him, sitting in fourth, 16.7 seconds behind Elvin Evans, who's in third place. We actually caught up with Elvin. Here's what he had to tell us. How difficult was it to judge in that final stage when the rain came down, just how much you could push? I'm sure you felt at times as if you were hemorrhaging time.
Yeah, but in some places also a complete passenger, to be honest. So it was pretty extreme, really difficult to find the sweet spot, like you say. And inevitably in some places you were way too slow, other places too fast. But thankfully we made it through.
Battle with Taka-san tomorrow, that could be interesting. He's been on it big time all weekend.
Yeah, he's been on it.
And on the roof.
So let's see how it goes. I mean, it's going to be difficult to judge the pace tomorrow at the end of the day. The stages are still rough, still quite difficult, so let's see.
DirtFish Live Center.
But what is DirtFish Live Center? New for 2023, DirtFish Live Center has been warmly received by rally fans all over the world. Why?
For one reason, it brings you right here, right to the heart of the action.
Head to dirtfish.com, click on Live Center, and follow the rally second by second. Enjoy exclusive behind-the-scenes photos, videos, and analysis. What are you waiting for? Want to get involved? Simply enter your name and leave a comment. No sign-ups or logins required.
DirtFish Live Center!
George, another really impressive day from Elvin. He's managing things beautifully out there. He knows where he's at with his pace. He knows how much risk he's prepared to take, and he's keeping it neat and tidy. Yes, he had that issue through the water splash today, but at the end of the day, he's still in third, and that's about management, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and he's kept his focus, he's kept his strategy yet again, and he could have lost it. I mean, that incident where the car stopped for, what was it, over a minute?
Yeah.
I mean, that could tip you into just making a mistake.
Absolutely.
And there's
Chasing
lots
a
lots of tricks.
Yeah.
After that first water splash, there's a second water splash, and there's lots of nasty, steep corners with ruts. You could tip the car over on its roof. That's what Gus Greensmith did last year. But he didn't.
We did get an explanation from Jari Matti as to the cause of that. Clearly, all of the teams, after the dramas of Sardinia, they've come up with fixes, engineering, really clever engineering fixes to try and mitigate against that water ingestion. That worked perfectly fine on the Toyotas, the other 3 Toyotas. Basically what happened with Elvin is he went in to the water splash at a different angle from the other drivers, and that's what caused it basically. It was the angle he went in it, it dipped under, the water came in. Let's talk about the top 2, George. Kalle Rovanperä, again, has he had any issues this weekend? Has he hit any animals? Has he had any punctures? Has he had any?
I think he had a brush with something in the Laldea stage. Did he not have? I think he maybe had a little brush with something.
A little kind of glance.
No, just nearly touched, but big braking and just glanced it or something.
He's been super impressive, but we shouldn't have been surprised. He won this event last year, but he's been super impressive, hasn't he?
Absolutely, imperious.
Imperious?
I would say he's.
Can you say that when there's someone in front of him?
Sorry?
I thought imperious meant. What does imperious mean?
I think for me, it's just the grandeur and single-minded approach.
Yes.
And well, I'm not interested in what's happening around me, or in his case, mostly behind him.
But George, you mentioned there when you were talking about your imperious that there's obviously one person in front of him that he's bothered about. He's not. He's absolutely not. What he said is championship, and he told us that more or less at the end of the day.
Tomorrow is quite a rough day. First one of the loop is actually full on the rocks in some places, and then we have also maybe the worst fish of the rally there on the long middle stage. So definitely not easy day. and I think my plan will be the same. Seb has nothing to lose, so I know he will push for the win anyway. But I need the championship points. It will be not so easy to fight with him.
Yeah, really strong performance today from Kalle Rovanperä. Listen, he said it himself there. You know, Seb's got nothing to lose tomorrow. I can't see young Rovanperä throwing all caution to the wind to try and win this one. He's such a mature young man. He knows it's about the championship, and he knows he's got to bring that car home. George, you tried to talk about him earlier on. Let's talk about him now.
Yes.
Seb Ogier and the way he's managed this event. You talked about those 2 punctures at the end of the day in your stage. That's why he's chosen on certain stages to show just how brilliant he is and set incredible times. He knew all along he would have to build a cushion.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know quite where he got those punctures. I didn't have enough connection to be able to follow the split times. But
towards the end, 3Ks from the end, luckily.
Okay, so just before the rockery. So when you have those punctures, you then have to preserve those tyres to come over more than a kilometre of lava bed.
Yeah.
And it is horrendous. If you go across there with a rim, you're going to damage the strut. You're not getting over there without rubber on the rim, even if it's flat. Now his tyres weren't completely flat, but they were both well down.
George, you haven't heard our end of the interview with
No, I
Seb,
have not.
have you?
What did he say?
Let's hear it now. Those 2 punctures, how did they happen?
Nobody can control that in there. It's just full of rocks everywhere. So you just pray that it's not happening. And unfortunately for us, it happened double, both on the front. So luckily only 3Ks to go, more or less, but on a very rocky section. So I had to back off a lot. And yeah, it had a bit of time loss, but we're still in the lead. So that's the most important.
So there we go. Yeah, Seb, more or less saying exactly what George said. He had to be very cautious through that really rocky section at the end there with those 2 punctures. George, he's going to win this one, isn't he, tomorrow? Or can you say that in Africa?
No, you cannot say that. Look, the Malawa stage, the first stage, Colin, that's got a lot of very rough, hard, sharp little climbs over rocks that will kick the car up that very hard on the transmission. To my mind, and remember these cars are getting tired, Colin. You know, who's taken more out of a car? You know, I mean, it doesn't look like Seb's taken a lot of it out of his car, and it doesn't look like Kalle has. It doesn't even look like Elfyn has. Takamoto, on the other hand, his car is quite tired by now.
Yeah, very tired.
So, you know, but anything can happen. It could rain.
Welcome to DirtFish, where we'll teach you how to do this and this. And all you have to do is click this link. We'll see you soon.
So yeah, let's wait and see what happens tomorrow. You know, we've got that 16.7 second gap between Ogier and Rovanperä. 16.7 seconds, also the gap between Evans and Katsuta. 1 or 2 other drivers, George, that we'll just quickly mention while we're wrapping things up. Sordo has had a very steady rally. Very steady rally, doing exactly what the team needed from him. Really enjoying himself out there. He's had a huge smile on his face.
He has.
He's been in a remarkably playful mood. Doing exactly what's needed this weekend. No problems with Sordo. What about Tanak? He picked up another puncture today.
Yeah.
What can we say about Tanak? Not a lot, really.
Look, I think once again he has actually done his best to drive an intelligent rally. Punctures, well, you know, maybe he's not focused enough on puncture prevention.
Maybe.
Would that be it? I certainly wouldn't. Yeah. Now, I am not ever going to criticise anything on Tanak because I think he's wonderful, and I do think he's done an amazing job here. And I was viewed with surprise, even by him, when I said I thought he'd done a brilliant drive the last 2 years. And he said to me, well, why am I not winning if I've done such a good drive? Well, okay, right, now we're going to go away and think about it. Okay, those punctures. Yeah, okay. Think about where you're pushing. You know, if you're going to have to push a little bit, maybe push nearer the end of a stage rather than the beginning of a stage.
You know, you just have to watch what Ogier's done and try your best to replicate his strategy. You choose where you pick your fights. Folks, it has been, once again, an enormously entertaining day here in Kenya. George and I have had a lot of fun. We've covered a lot of kilometres. There's been a lot of dust, a little bit of rain, not enough rain, I'd have to say, but it has been a wonderful day too. Day 3, 70 odd kilometres in day 3, still plenty of drama ahead of us. So folks and George, once again, thank you for joining us here at our Marinja guest house in Naivasha. We've had a great day out there and we're looking forward to tomorrow. We'll see you all then. Lovely cup of tea, George. See you tomorrow.